thank you so much and welcome to Indica and this conversation, Vijay.
Of course,
And
yeah.
in introduction to you, you're the managing director and CFO of India Currents, a very popular now digital magazine.
Mhm.
So how did a person move, like you move from IT in Silicon Valley to publication?
That was not that difficult, if when you do something um, continuously for many. I have done many transitions in my life, so this was something, just one part of it, and I don't think that this is going to be the last transition that I'm doing. There'll be multiple more coming in the way, so I'm very optimistic about it. I started as a mechanical engineer from India, and then I worked in a steel plant in India. I came over here, worked in came for masters over here for aerospace. And that was my interest. Aerospace industry tanked. I ended up doing some other engineering branch that was not electrical. But after that, I drove to California and got a job in the high tech without any experience and without any even degree in that area. And I got that job, and I then went to Stanford and tried to do electrical masters, another one. Then I went to UC Berkeley, did another one in communications technology when this was, and this is all 80s and 90s. That is the time. So very, very hard days, but very interesting. And from there to now, Dil Bhar Gaya, full, done whatever I wanted to do. If you type my name in Google, you'll find me all over the world. I was the person who was evangelizing Java, if you heard that name, if you know this technology thing, which enables this internet today. What we see today, in the bottom of it was that enabling technology. And I was the one, I worked with the inventor of Java in the company. I worked for in Sun Microsystems. So I have that thing, and that was in the front end. So I was always in the front of people, thousands of people, always doing this. So I had always this kind of roles. Yes.
And also, I think parallelly to this IT journey, we find a lot of Indians in the West keep up their fitness program too. So is that a bug that bit you early, or how did you become?
It's nothing to do with this. This is from my earlier thing in the college, school days. My dream was to go to the armed forces. And when I got selected for the armed forces, it was the job of an engineer, which I refused to take. I said, I want the job of a combatant. I want to be in the front. That is my mindset. I cannot work behind the lines. And that's why I always, when I got into technology also, I did not work as an engineer. I worked as a marketeer. I was always in the marketing, in front of people. So that's my personality. And that's why from the beginning, I was very much oriented towards physical fitness. I joined, as a compromise, I had to join Bhilai Steel Plant and couldn't be in the armed forces. I still went to mountaineering and climbed 18,000 feet, and my guru was Tenzing Norgay.
Wow.
Who taught me how to climb. Yes. So I used to do those things from the beginning. I kept that thing. And thankful to my parents and my ancestry that they all were physically, they were very active and very healthy.
So how did this project of covering the Jyothirlingams by foot or running or walking come about? How did the idea first strike you?
So, when I was in 7th grade, there was a lesson on Adi Shankaracharya. I'm from Madhya Pradesh, okay? Hindi. So I'm still very good in Hindi. I have learned Hindi literature, okay, in my school days. So that time, in 7th grade, when I read about him walking through the whole country, I thought it was a Superman. And it was just something that was for me to look up to. And as the time went by, last 30 years at least, then it started taking shape in my mind that I want to do it. Then it kind of looked that, okay, I should also attempt it. And I had from family side also, I have an inclination towards the knowledge that our heritage. We have so much of knowledge in the form of your philosophies and different kind of philosophy. Nobody knows about that. Even people have started learning about that. And Adi Shankaracharya did exactly this walk for the purpose of intellectually unifying the country. He was a Vedanti. He was an Advait, the follower of Advait. And Advait or Vedant is one of the 6 philosophies coming out of Vedas. And because of those 6 philosophies, the country was very fragmented intellectually. So he took upon himself to unify the country and again make people think as one rather than fighting against each other or falling off because of the pressures from other sides also. Some outside pressures were coming in. So that was a very, very big thing. And what is happening today is exactly similar thing actually. We got out of the colonization in 1947, but not the colonized mindset. Our mindset was still there. We were taught to believe that anything that comes from the West is good. And at the same time, you're not told, you're not given what was good in your own ancestry that you could compare yourself with. You were not taught that. I was fortunate that my education started in a place which was the intellectual capital of the whole India. Can you think of that name? City. It is still there, this city. And my first grade started from that place called Ujjain.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Ujjain. It was called Avantika. Kalidas wrote Meghdut there in Sanskrit, okay? And this was very advanced. As a matter of fact, it is exactly on Tropic of Cancer. And that is the best place to be to study Mars. There was a Mars observatory over there thousands of years back. When Ujjain is very, very high in those days. It was the prime meridian. The meridian also was considered as to be the standard time meridian, right? So I was fortunate to have been there when I started, and later on when I slowly understood the value of all these things. When I studied my school in Hindi medium, so we had at least some of the history books and things that we were taught differently than other elite schools. And that worked very well. There were so many things that I learned from there. So there was this factor also that motivated me towards learning more of this sort. And that 30 years back, I was toying with the idea. Then I told my wife about it, that I want to do it. But 30 years, I kept only talking about it. And then last year, I was going to turn 70 in the August of last year. And then I said that if I don't do it now, if I don't start now, it's not gonna, I'll have to die with this dream. So every time I go to India, I go to Ujjain, to Mahakaleshwar. And this time I said that, okay, I'm going over there and I'm just starting. It was month of May. Everybody said, no, month of May is not the right time to go and walk. It was 47 degrees Celsius daytime, and night was not below 100 Fahrenheit. Night was also 2 a.m. I started, 5th of May. Started walking towards Omkareshwar. And I just walked. What else? Just walked. I did not do any special training or anything. Whatever normal thing I used to do to keep fit, that was the one. But this idea, that thing, I realized that after walking to Omkareshwar, I realized that, the limitation is not with the body. Limitation is in the mind. Your mind is the one that prohibits. If you remove that limitation, your body will follow, will do what you want. And you can never take the second step unless you take the first step first. So there's no second step until you take the first step, and that was my first step. So in May, I walked to Omkareshwar, and it threw many challenges, and I learned so much physically, mentally, and from the environment, from the habitats. And then I'll tell you in detail later on if you talk about it. But I came back in October, started walking from Omkareshwar towards Somnath. So in last October, I walked up to the border of Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. Alirajpur is the district name until that place. It passes through good forest and tribal areas, by the way. And then this February, March, this year, I started from there, and I have reached very close to Somnath now. It was an 800 kilometers walk. So I have reached 600 kilometers, and last 200, I'm going to start on 15th, just like 15th, this 15th. I will be on the road starting from Dhola town in Gujarat to Somnath, and from Somnath to Nagnath. Nageshwar is at Dwarka, near Dwarka, and that is my 4th Jyotirling. And from there, I have to walk to Kedarnath, which is 1,650 kilometers away. That I hope I do next year. But then there is it's not just the walking. The walking exactly is like what Adi Shankaracharya did. It was putting yourself forward to undertake something physically, a tapasya. To do what? To ultimately establish the learning and unification. And he established 4 muds as a result of that. And my objective is also to collect enough funding to fund the study of Indian history, Indian literature, and Indian philosophy in the major universities in the world. So this is, I thought, that will be helpful in changing the colonial mindset that we have, decolonizing the mindset. You need the study proper. This is not political, this is not religion, this is just a philosophy. You have to learn through proper education. So it is again the intellectual unification of the world. Are we recording this? I hope. Yeah, the meeting is recording. Yes, correct. Yes.
I went to Tenambakam this June. That is where, Tenambakam is very close to Kanchipuram, where Parmacharya of Kanchi Matham stayed.
I see, not Trembakeshwar. Okay, go ahead.
That is in south. He would not eat the whole day. And then in the evening, the only outing out of that small shrine was a 20-kilometer walk. So like Shankaracharya, he felt that going with people and 2 people outside was a unification. But it requires, like you said, tapasya. And today, visiting of shrines has become, like a ticking the box kind of experience.
Ticking the box, it's more of a cultural practice of something, that's all.
Or, some kind, we feel we have to go to a temple, so we go by the fastest transportation possible. Try to see if we can get a special darshan and not have to wait in the queue.
You're right.
So what these things, having to experience the hardship of shrine and, going to these holy places. Does that hardship change you, does it unify parts of you also?
Absolutely. The physical that you go through, the physical barriers when you cross, you keep breaking these barriers when you do the tapasya, and that purifies you. It's very cliched way of saying it purifies if you do hard work, but to understand it, you have to feel it. These words are very meaningful because, and here's the example. my wife told me, well, not told me, that when I started walking, she said, better keep some, I like classical music. I practice classical music. So she said, they better keep some things in your phone so that you'll be walking 8 to 10 hours a day. You got to have something, right? And I said, yes, 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 I got to. So I did that. I got that in my phone. But not even once I needed to hear that. Something takes over when you are determined to do this. The body itself talks to you continuously, and it's a different. It gives you energy, as well as it purifies or unifies you. That's exactly what. And the most important thing is it connects every part of you to your mind more efficiently. This particular sentence, I think, can be explained or restated physiologically also. If you ask a doctor or some physician, he will tell you exactly, yeah, when you're doing the physical work, your every part of the micro place of the body, a cell of the body, is getting connected to your mind more efficiently. But it has, other than physical, it has that metaphysical or that physiological, other psychological effect also, that it connects. Your body starts understanding your mind. That's the unification that you talked about. Yeah, that does that. It does that.
Also, how was the experience with the people of the places you visited? For example, a person who rode a bike from down south Madurai to Sharda Math in Kashmir. He rode all the way. He was saying like everywhere he stopped, people would offer him tea, and then he offered to pay. They would say no. So is that a sense like a lot of foreigners come to India to visit temples to experience India? Is this spirit? Have you experienced it about Indian warmth and hospitality?
Absolutely, absolutely. Lot more. And I'll explain this to you. Both ways, it goes both ways. This is their respect for you. And then I also gain some respect, rather, for them, in a different way, which I'll come with. So both ways, it happens both ways. So yeah, people see, particularly some segments, everywhere people have different way of expressing their appreciation of what you're doing. So when I was walking from Omkareshwar up to Baroda, this was so profound that you won't believe. People will come from nowhere, touch your feet, want your blessing. And these are ordinary, of course, those tea stall people want you to take tea, and I have the videos, then I'm having conversation with them. But it was not limited to only these folks. I was also sought after. Somebody got the information that a person is walking. So in one place, it was in Alirajpur, an industrialist himself, he got me, took me to his home for dinner with his family. Okay. And then he not only he did arti and puja, and he offered me dakshina, and he touched my feet with the whole family. Okay. And I asked him, I said, what do you feel by that? And he said that, look, I cannot do this, what you're doing, but I want to share what you're gaining by this. And this is the way I can do that. And I said, wonderful. I want to give it to you. I mean, you should, because this is not something that you give and it becomes less in you. This becomes more. You give it, it becomes more. So I really blessed him. And I felt for all of these. It was so strange that I was passing Maheshwar. Maheshwar is a very important place in the history of Adi Shankaracharya also. His first debate with Mandan Mishra happened in Maheshwar. Okay. And so I was passing from Maheshwar, and I had tea in the morning, so I was feeling a little bit that I want to have buttermilk. Okay. Think about this. I'm walking through the town the highway, going through the town and looking on the side if I can find this buttermilk thing. There's a brand famous in India called in MP, Sanchi brand. Okay, and there's Amul. So Amul and Sachin, I said, there must be some outlet here, Sachi and Amul, and I'll go and get that can and I'll have that. Right at that moment, I'm thinking this, and somebody taps me in the shoulder and she says, "Sir, please come and have chai with me." I said, "I have had enough chai," because that is why I was feeling this, having buttermilk, because too many people had offered me chai. I want butter. She says, "Yes, I have that. I keep Sachi and Amul thing." And there is no brand outside any signboard saying that he does that. So he takes me there, he seats me, he gives me that, he gives me 5 more packets to carry with me. The way it happens, something else starts working, And this is their respect for me. And here is my respect for them. In Omkareshwar, there was this girl selling flowers. Okay, a little girl. I went and talked to her. And I said, "What you go to school and all?" She said, "Yes, she goes to school. And she's in 11th grade or 10th grade and helping parents by selling the flowers also. Mother, father, everybody works, right?" I asked her details about the school, and you know what I found out? I found out that there was no difference between her school and my school, which I went. I also went to the free school of government. No private schools, okay, for me. And she was studying the same thing that I was studying. There was no difference between her and me. Okay? So I asked, "What do you want to become?" And quickly she said, "I want to take the exam for IPS. I want to be a police officer." This is a flower selling girl having such a fantastic aspiration. I was really moved by that. And she was not the only one. Later on, close to the MP border, there was another very small tribal village. And there's a little girl, disheveled, selling tea, and I had tea over there. And I asked her, "What do you want to become?" "Do you go to school?" She said, "Yes, I'm in 8th grade. Okay. 8th grade, where's the school? "Oh, it's 15 kilometers away." 15 kilometers? How do you go there? "Oh, a bus comes, it takes me there." So I said, "You working here and also you going to school?" Yes, I do." "What do you want to become?" "I want to become a doctor." Imagine that. I mean, this is a very big difference. So I have tremendous respect for all these people who are working very hard from childhood. And I didn't have to work in childhood, but I also went to the similar schools because that's what my parents could afford. So I went to those schools. At one place, I meet a guy who is shepherding goats. What do you think when you see a shepherd? You think that this guy is poor guy is shepherding goats because he makes his living by this, and he's uneducated because this is the job he can do. Otherwise, he would have done better job, something, right? I asked him, "Did you go to school?" He said, "Yes." And that's all he says. So what do you do with this the whole day? You stay there with this? He says, No, I don't stay. I'm just going to drop them over there. And I have a class at 9 o'clock. I'm in the second year of BSc engineering, science, BSc graduate. Can you imagine? I had not imagined a college student would shepherd the goats and come and sit in the class and study and then shepherd. So this is my respect for these people who are out there and working and keeping their aspirations so high. This is fantastic. I felt the same because I used to feel the same way when I was growing up.
So is this contrast between urban India and rural India brought out so dramatically in your travels? So are we being, how do we transfer this kind of knowledge to urban cities? Is it possible?
Something is a paradox. And I'm in technology. I'm behind. I have worked with the people who started this whole revolution we call information revolution. You know what it has done? It has actually misinformed us, because now the guy sitting in the city and by thinking through internet, the guy can do everything. He knows everything, he or she, and they write about these people or tell us about these people, and we learn and relearn, and that is all, I don't know, something in his mind that is coming to me. But here I go and I find this thing. So there's a big disconnect because of the interconnect. It's a paradox. You think about connecting this and you are actually disconnected. So you have to be physically there. So it's a different thing. Yeah.
So, and you also talked about the historical significance of places which were on the way to these Jyothirlingams. Are there more? And how do you prepare yourself for a trip like this? I mean, do you read up, and do you, like, Adi Shankara having walked in these same places, the significance is so great
Vast,
to
isn't
have
it?
to,
So vast.
yeah.
When I started walking, this is just last year, nobody was talking about Adi Shankaracharya. This year, suddenly everybody is talking about it. I'm so happy. I don't know why, what happened. It was so good. Omkareshwar is a place where he walked to from Kaladi. Kaladi is his village in Kerala. And he walked from there to Omkareshwar at the age of 12 to 16, in between there, because his things are not documented very well. So there is a lot of controversy. Even the time of his existence is so controversial that it is the difference between two extreme opinions is 700 years. 700 years, not just 50, 100 or 700 years, for God's sake. So he walked to Omkareshwar from there, and he studied over there his first, actually 12. So he studied over there for years until he became 16. Then he had this debate with Mandan Mishra. So yeah, these places, awesome. They have come on into being. And didn't I say that? Colonized mindset. We are not telling our kids about this. And now my generation, which was the first one to have this colonized mindset, is not able to tell their children, because they themselves are deficient in this. So they cannot take pride in this. So they look somewhere else for pride. And I have trained my children in a way that I knew a little bit differently. So they got trained in that. But obviously, when my grandchildren will not be trained that good, because they are living in America here. Their environment is different. I was at least exposed to something. So to fix that, I am making this effort that in American University, if they teach Indian philosophy, there is a chance that this next generation can get these gems and grow and not suddenly lose this, slowly and gradually lose this whole treasure.
And if there was somebody not as fit as you, or did not have the courage of getting financial support that you might have been able to access, is that a dream that that person can also aspire to do the same
So you
trade?
have to first know about how I am doing it. Here's the first thing. Physically fit. When I started walking last year, first 30 kilometers of walk, took a break, slept, got up in the morning, could not get up. I got up from bed, could not stand on my feet. They were aching so bad. I had no idea how to take care of myself. Then my wife told me, you have to put your feet in ice. So I got the bucket of ice and I put my feet in ice and stood up on that, and I walked again. And every day I walked, and every day I had this problem. Okay? But I learned how that. So what happened is that first day walk manifested in that pain. At the same time, it gave me a little more strength also, by the way. So this is about it, the mental limitation. No, anybody can do that. The rate will be different. They will do with less amount, but your mind has to be trained, not the body. Body will take, even if you have an impediment, you can do little bit, and that will get you more. So that is about that. You asked two things, right? This is the one thing, and then you asked
Financial,
right? So when I was coming from Ujjain to Omkareshwar, in between is Indore, and there are a lot of places very close by, good towns and cities. So I could always go to next or back by, once I finish my walk, I go back with some help, and then I'm staying there. So it was possible to stay there. But when I started walking from Omkareshwar to Somnath, there were no hotels, there were no things, there were no places. I stayed in temples. I called my friends every time and something or other would come about. And one friend in Ahmedabad, I called him consistently for help in Gujarat, walking in Gujarat, and he would try calling places, district administration. He was working in the government. He was a revenue officer in government. And I'd ask, is there a place somewhere here in between? And he always found a place for me in temples. Temples. So you really don't need that kind of resources. You can make do. And particularly the pilgrim tracks that are there, like from Omkareshwar to up to quite far, people do Narmada Parikrama. So there are multiple installations on the way. They are free. Out of Kokshi town, there was one place. Just before entering the town, I saw this little place. I sat down for a cup of tea, a stall, and this guy who was making tea, he said that you don't have to go anywhere. You can stay. We have a free facility, proper foam mattresses, a dorm kind of thing, free for pilgrims. Okay. And he fed me, he gave me tea and no cost. And then I asked him, so how these expenses are borne? So he says that I run this stall and for other people, they pay, and that is how it's doing. I said, what is your qualification? He was an IT professional from Pune. He had left his job and come back over here, and they do devotional singing. He said, my family does devotional singing. I'm also doing it, and that gives us enough money. So satisfaction, he has satisfaction. He didn't want to go to America and from Pune for IT. He came to Kokshi, that small village. And people who are doing things like this, who cannot afford, they have a number of places they can build. I'm telling you, temples, they were made for that. So I also stayed in many temples on there. I'm going I just now had a conversation. I'm close to Somnath, and I asked same person, Gujarat, that where should I stay in Amreli, because I have to spend 2 nights. So there are 2 ways. Either you go to that town and get your hotel and all that. Otherwise, there are these temples. I will arrange there. So good. I chose temples because I don't like to stay inside the town. I like to stay outside in an open area. So temples. So by the way, resources is not the constraint.
Okay. So how have you recorded the experience?
I have been very deficient in formally recording it, but I did. My first one I did. Second, third is pending. I'm going to do that. But after this, I'm going to change. I'm getting some professional advice, and I am also in the publishing business. So those people are with me, actually, around me. And we want to change it slightly differently so that it is more of a conversation like you are having with me, because that brings out more than writing and people reading. Reading is going out of fashion nowadays, unfortunately, but it is. So we have to work through multimedia. That's it.
Fantastic. And thank you so much for your time and all the very best. We are following you and wishing you all the best in your journey.
So give me some idea about what was the purpose of this conversation.
It's probably also Indic, as you know, is an organization that one part is the media aspect, where we would like to tell stories of individuals like you are doing incredible things, and the other is an intellectual space where we get scholars who discuss the very same things that you're doing, but from texts and the shastras, and so there has to be a meeting ground. So this is today's reality, and ties in with what is being studied all over India, and you're living it. So that's it's like as you know, like in India Currents, this is a journalistic offering for people to get up and start moving and discovering things for themselves.
People are joining me. One of the objectives is senior citizens who have retired, contributed to the community all their lives, built this nation. I'm asking them to join. This time, a retired army general is joining me. He with his wife. Okay, so people are coming up. They want to join. So people can join me in various ways. They can join me physically if they want to walk with me, or they can do what you are doing. They can join me by promoting this in the social media, other places, so that I can later on when I have an objective, right? I told you I have to fund these chairs and
Mm.
study. So I have to go to some places where people can look at me and
Yeah.
say that, okay, this is a worthy cause. So as far as you can take this for this narration, that will be great. So is this going to be published in Indica or
It'll be
Indica.in?
published in Indica's YouTube channel.
YouTube channel. Oh, conversation will get there. Oh, I see. I didn't realize
Mm.
that this is recording going straight like that.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
fine.
wonderful.
It was good talking to you and to
Thank
see,
you so much.
India to US and back to India. What a journey.
Yes, 4 times a
Yeah,
year, 3 times a year. My God. Yes.
fantastic.
Okay. Thank
Wishing
you
you
so
all
much.
the very best.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Bye.